As Ethan Eckenroad, then 19 years old, took the stage on March 31, 2025, The Voice Season 27 Knockouts delivered a moment of pure, unadulterated surprise. He sang a rendition of Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down, which left his coach, Adam Levine, as well as the entire panel, which included Michael Bublé, John Legend, and Kelsey Ballerini, reeling in disbelief. Ethan, a wiry young musician with a mop of unruly curls and a quiet intensity, transformed a rock anthem into a soul-stirring, genre-defying spectacular. Ethan is from Boise, Idaho, and he is originally from Idaho. Ethan's performance was not simply a knockout, it was a seismic shift, redefining what it means to own a song in a competition that is famed for its vocal fireworks. Ethan was competing against his teammate Sophia Barnes, who was a member of Team Adam. There is a struggle for identity in the knockouts. The knockouts round of The Voice is a proving ground, a solo showcase in which candidates are required to select a song that exemplifies who they are and perform it with sufficient conviction to outshine their colleague. For Ethan, the competition was quite challenging. In her performance of Adele's Rolling in the Deep, Sophia, a powerhouse from Nashville who is 24 years old, leans into her gospel-tinged belt and commands attention with her imposing presence. Ethan, on the other hand, elected to go in a different direction and chose I Won't Back Down, a song that is linked with the gritty defiance of Tom Petty. It was a daring choice for a young musician who had earned a four-chair turn in the blinds with a sensitive, acoustic rendition of the Beatles' Blackbird, which hinted at a folk-pop soul sound. However, the brazen twist that Ethan would bring to Petty's classic was something that nobody, not even Coach Adam, anticipated occurring. As the lights were turned down and Ethan took a step forward with the guitar draped across his chest, there was a quiet of curiosity in the room. The jangly twang that was prevalent in Petty's Smash from 1989 was not there in the opening notes. Instead, Ethan began with a brief introduction that was carefully selected, and his voice pierced through the silence like a razor. It was kind, unfiltered, and an excruciatingly vulnerable confession. Ethan's voice was a whispered defiance, overlaid with a smoky, bluesy edge that evoked Jeff Buckley more than classic rock. In contrast, Petty's delivery is a declaration made with a clenched fist. In the moment that Ethan was rewriting the song's DNA right in front of their eyes, the coaches exchanged glances and raised their brows. An invention that cannot be expected to be possible. This was nothing short of a revelation when it came to Ethan's interpretation of I Won't Back Down. Through the process of slowing the speed down to a near crawl and infusing it with a ghostly undertone in a minor key, he stripped the song down to its essential components. His voice broke with passion as he extended the notes into surprising falsetto runs, and the classic chorus, which was I Won't Back Down, became less of a battle cry and more of a frail promise. Despite the fact that it was a risk that had the potential to fail, Ethan's ability to control it and his honesty turned it into magic. A striking contrast to Sophia's polished and stage-owning enthusiasm was his lanky figure, which swung with the rhythm while his eyes were half closed and he was lost in the music. The arrangement was a brilliant example of your creative abilities. Ethan replaced the electric guitar chords with acoustic embellishments, adding subtle slides and bends that gave the song a rootsy, almost Appalachian flavor. I was impressed by the song's transformation. It was a tribute to his days of busking in Boise, Idaho, where he had polished his craft on street corners, that he punctuated the verses with slaps on his guitar body that were percussion-like. The bridge, which in Petty's rendition was generally a straightforward build, turned into a jazzy diversion, with Ethan scatting lightly over improvised chords. This move was so daring that it caused audible gasps from the audience. After hearing Ethan's beautiful Blackbird, Coach Adam Levine, who had previously shifted his attention to Ethan in the blinds, appeared obviously surprised. Despite the fact that he was smiling and shaking his head, he said, "I didn't see that coming. I was listening to a music that I had heard a million times before." but you made me feel as though I was hearing it for the very first time. Absolutely insanity." Levine's response was unfiltered and almost skeptical. He had a preconceived notion of Ethan as a solitary, introverted crooner rather than a forward-thinking entrepreneur. Considering that this was a young person who had just turned the tables on a rock star, Adam was unable to conceal his admiration. The coach's shocking reactions to the situation. Kelsey Ballerini, a novice coach who has a talent for identifying emotional truth, was completely taken aback by the news. Through her southern drawl, which was rich with excitement, she exclaimed, "You are such a vibe." That came as a complete surprise and was very cool. "You've got this sort of laid-back, independent vibe going on. It's like Tom Petty and Bon Iver coming together." Her comparison to the atmospheric folktronica of Justin Vernon was dead on. Ethan's reinvention had a contemporary indie shine that seemed both ageless and fresh at the same time. In his characteristic manner, John Legend, who is known for his measured wisdom, leaned into the technical brilliance. He expressed his approval by nodding his head and saying, "Your phrasing, your dynamics, it was masterful. Without sacrificing the song's essence, you took a song that is already so well known and made it your own. That's not very common." The standing ovation that Legend gave was a quiet but powerful endorsement, and his eyes were fixed on Ethan, as if he were evaluating a potential future star athlete. The crooner Michael Bublé, who has a penchant for making daring choices, was unable to contain his excitement regarding the performance. The man yelled out, "You shocked me, man," while raising his hands in the air. "That was absolutely a brave move. You have the soul of a true artist, and I would definitely steal you if I had the chance." Despite the fact that Bublé's fun shot at Levine hinted at a rivalry that was developing, it was apparent that he admired Ethan's willingness to take risks. The rendition of "Rolling in the Deep" that Sofia performed was a courageous effort. Her high notes that she hammered struck the mark, and her stage presence was indisputable. On the other hand, in comparison to Ethan's brilliant inventiveness, it seemed safe and almost expected. This gap was reflected in the criticism that the coaches provided, with Legend praising Ethan's artistic edge, while applauding Sofia's powerful instrument. An alteration of a song, the birth of a star. Although it was a performance, Ethan's rendition of "I Won't Back Down" was more of a statement than anything else. In order to create a meditation on vulnerability, resilience, and quiet defiance, he took a song that was about standing firm and converted it into a meditation. His Idaho heritage shined through in the rustic simplicity of his arrangement, while his youthful bravado pushed it into territory that had not been explored before. It was as if Ethan was claiming his claim in a competition that was filled with huge voices and bigger personalities. The lyrics, which read, "Well, I know what's right, I got just one life," gave off a particularly intimate vibe. Following the performance, fans took to social media to express their excitement, calling Ethan the dark horse of season 27. The following is an excerpt from a tweet that reads, "Ethan Eckenroad just turned 'I Won't Back Down' into a whole vibe." The phrase "the most creative knockout I've ever seen" was quoted by another individual. The excitement was well-deserved. Ethan had accomplished something that very few competitors are willing to do. He had won by taking a chance on his own creativity, taking a decision and moving forward with it. When Adam Levine was confronted with the dilemma, the significance of it became immediate. Despite the fact that her voice was a force of nature, Sofia had produced a technically accomplished performance. However, Ethan's inventiveness was the deciding factor. Levine began by saying, "Sofia, you are a powerhouse," while maintaining a measured tone. "However, Ethan, you surprised me in the most wonderful way. Throughout your entire life, you have been an artist. It is time for me to accompany you." Ethan's advancement to the playoffs was met with a resounding cheer from the audience, and Sofia left the stage with a gracious smile and a pledge to continue singing. The Knockouts victory that Ethan achieved solidified his position as a contender. Because the playoffs are scheduled to take place on April 28, and just 2 members of Team Adam will advance to the live shows, he will need to continue to push the limits of what is possible. His musical interests, which include Jeff Buckley, Bon Iver, and the Beatles, point to a variety that has the potential to take him far. In the event that he continues to demonstrate this level of inventiveness, he is not merely a dark horse. Rather, he is a contender for the crown. Ethan Eckenroad serves as a reminder to coaches Bubba, Leving, legend, and ballerini of the magic that is accomplished by the voice, which is the discovery of undiscovered talent that defies expectations. His surprising use of phrase in "I won't back down" was not only a surprise, it was also a wake-up call he delivered. The boys-based musician, who is only 19 years old, is not going to back down, and the music industry had best take note.